profits. If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 423 of Picks and Ponies right here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz. Thanks for joining us tonight as we have a fantastic show for you covering 6 races. That's right, 6 races, including 5 stakes. It is Canada's biggest day. It is King's Plate Day, and what a day it is. I can't wait to talk about it with you, including, as you can see, my new background there. I've got my Saratoga pennant there. I've got on the over here, where is it? Over there, right? The bottom corner, it says reserved for HHH Racing Podcast, the yellow sign. I'll tell you what that's about in a little bit, but changing up the scenery a little bit and added some little toys that I got at Saratoga last week when our family was there. What a special week we had at Saratoga. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button, bottom right-hand side of the screen, notification bell, top right, smash that like button below the video player. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Follow us on X at HHH Racing Pod. We've got some big shows coming up tonight after the show, 9:30 Eastern, with some special, a different host and a special co-host as well. Check it out tonight, 9:30 Eastern, right after us here, Pacific Horse Players. And then we have Saratoga today, this Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 10:30 Eastern, respectfully. And Weekend Warriors is back. What a Weekend Warriors show we had live from the 1863 gazebo, where we were just crushing winners left and right. We have Weekend Warriors again with the focus on the Alabama Stakes at Saratoga and the huge card here, Woodbine. Live racing at both places, but live video at Woodbine. Very excited for Weekend Warriors starting at 4 o'clock Eastern on Saturday with yours truly hosting. All right, got all the peripherals out of the way. Let me remember my wonderful co-host. Only one tonight. Pete Visco is out of town the next few days. He will be back Sunday, however, for Saratoga today. So let me bring on my trusty co-host from the Saratoga Special and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, a huge fan of Saratoga like myself, Mr. Cody's Wish himself, Mr. Paul Halloran. Paul, how you doing tonight?
Hello, Howard. How are you?
Good to see you, my friend. It's summer's coming to an end. Myself, you, and Pete, the gang will be back together at some point pretty soon. You're looking very sharp and wide awake. A few quick things, Paul, I want to touch on before we get into the pick 6. First of all, today, August 14th, is Ryan Anderson's birthday. So wish Ryan Anderson a happy 27th birthday. He's, of course, co-host of Pacific Horse Players. He's got his own podcast. He's a big shooter now at Del Mar, Paul, as you well know. So congrats and happy birthday to Ryan Anderson. I mentioned Pete will be back on Sunday. We've got two huge weeks coming up after this weekend, Paul. The Travers, which is turning into a small field. Looks like our boy Sovereignty is scaring everyone away, Paul.
That's what it looks like. There were, Gosger and goal-oriented.
Yeah.
And Baeza, to whatever degree you thought he might come back. But I'll tell you what, Howard, I worked the Pennsylvania Derby. The Pennsylvania Derby is shaping up to be a hell of a race. If you're not going to have the leaders of the division, but that next tier is going to be damn well represented.
Yeah, the Pennsylvania Derby it looks like it's going to be really good and probably a very, very big field. And then you got the P Classic, the Pacific Classic. I know our West Coast guys are excited. A little journalism versus Nisos and whoever else is going to go in that race. So big weeks coming up. I know we're going to wait, Paul. I just texted you back on your text. We have a little tease that we want to talk about during your ranch for a very, very special day on this podcast after the Pacific Classic in September, which relates to my next horse racing trip, which is not for about 6 weeks, but it's the wonderful hills and valleys, no, not of Kentucky Downs, of Lexington, Kentucky. Something very special is going to happen that meet this fall. It's in it, Paul.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. It's funny. I'm going back to Saratoga next Wednesday, and I love Travers Week. I think I figured out when I was writing the epilogue to my book. I went back and tried to figure out my first Travers. I think it was Thunder Rumble, the New York bred in 1992. But I mean, I love Travers Week, and I can't wait to get back there. The weather is supposed to be really, really ideal. But yeah, less than 2 months. I've really come to love these Kentucky trips. For a number of reasons, but I've really come to look forward to these Kentucky trips, and I'm certainly thrilled that you changed your plans to be there the same weekend as moi, and you will be well taken care of, to be sure.
I appreciate that. I'm actually going to be there the first 2 weekends at Keelan, so very exciting. We're in my red, by the way. I don't have any Woodbine stuff, but I'm going red for Canada, so I represent that way. Let's see who's here. Bob Segura. Yes, it rained hard. It hadn't rained in Saratoga about 2 weeks. Of course, my buddy Gemmin 10 was supposed to run today, Paul. I gave him a lot of cuddles and hugs and everything, and he doesn't get to run today for Adelphi. A little disappointed about that, but hopefully they'll run the race back maybe, I don't know, this weekend. Terry Frank, Paul, I got to tell you, our trip last weekend was awesome. A big thanks to Diane Nelson and Ira Betts and everyone that helped us out at Saratoga. Salivo was amazing. Nove was great. PTF's Backyard Barbecue was amazing. Shout out to the Treehouse and Scott Neary. I don't know if you've been to the Treehouse bar. It's not the Treehouse bar. That's not what they call it. I'm drawing a blank. Brewery. Treehouse Brewery. Really cool. Right by the Saratoga National Park there. Paul, it's only about 4 months old. Scott Neary, he's a fan of the show. He's also the GM. Took care of our entire party. That's why you see that yellow sign there in the corner there. That was the sign that he had up to reserve our tables.
Nice.
So shout out to the Treehouse Brewery. They were amazing and took care of us. We got Matt Miller is watching. Canada for Thomas Spinoza. Here we go. Of course, Katie is here. Ralph Conti had a great time at Saratoga. Sylvain was with us. Says hello. A lot of people in the chat. We really had a great times. I'm just looking really quickly. Jim Pillars is here. Yeah. Anyway, great time.
Jim
All right, Paul.
Pillars, Howard. Jim Pillars will be joining me at the Travers this weekend.
Yes. Very exciting.
Very good.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm a little jealous. So you guys are gonna have a great time at the Travers. All right. The power pick tip sheet, by the way, Paul. Woof, scorching. Last week. One of our best power pick tip sheets we've ever had. 4 out of 6 winners with the power picks tip sheet. Saratoga had Little Knee and El Cordobes in the Sword Dancer. Colonial, I tipped out a 10-1 that lost by an inch, but a very good exacted trifecta in the Van Cleef, where Whitty won, and then Junior Alvarado, man. On Fort Washington in the million, came through, man, over the top over integration. Junior's having one hell of a meet, Paul.
Well, it's funny how I wasn't the first to bring it up. Steve Beck came on Monday morning and started talking about, he will have to be in the Eclipse conversation. Doesn't mean he should win it. Doesn't mean he's going to win it. But if you were picking 3 finalists right now, he would have to be one of the 3, I think.
I think he would be. Now, to be fair, I mean, he doesn't have enough wins. His percentage is not low enough. I mean, he's not going to win the thing, but he deserves something, some kind of credit, because he's not just winning on sovereignty. If you're paying attention, and he doesn't have a ton of wins at Saratoga, but he's got a lot of seconds and thirds, and he's just giving really solid ride after real solid ride. I mean, every single time, even on a frustrating horse like Chillax for Godolphin, who can't break his maiden like ever, he gives that horse continually good rides. The horse just doesn't want to go by. Anyway, let's talk about Woodbine, Paul. We have 6 races to cover. We're going to go through them relatively quickly. I thought there's some really good races. The King's Plate is an absolute cluster, wide open. This is always one of the better cards of the summer, to be very honest. I'm very happy to discuss it with you. And I know it said the pick 5 on our thumbnail, but after the belated PPs came out and the entries, we're going to cover the mandatory 20-cent pick 6. I'll put us back on screen. There's $25,000 in the pool right now. It's obviously going to grow. It is a rainbow kind of situation they have at Woodbine. I'm going to guess, I don't know, about 45, 50,000 by the time the day comes, and probably another 152, 250. We're talking maybe $4.5 million maybe in that rainbow 6, which is a 20-cent base bet. So you can spread, but you don't want to spread too much. Let's start with race 7, the EP Taylor. This is a grade 1, $750,000, Paul. It starts at about 414 Eastern. It's going to be one of the first races we show on Weekend Warriors on Saturday. It is for the girls. There is a superstar in here, number 4. She feels pretty for our girl, Cherie DeVoe, and Johnny V, 3 to 5. Let's see if we're going to chalk out here in the first leg. Wow. Well, we have the same thoughts here, Paul. I'm going 4-3-5. You're going 3-4-7. We talked about Appleby. He sent over El Cordobas to win to win the Sword Dancer. Diamond Rain, very, very interesting 4-year-old filly. You're going with the upset with her over She Feels Pretty on Saturday.
Yeah, well, I've handicapped this race in depth, Howard. A good friend of yours and mine was on another podcast and was looking for some assistance. And, we always like to help our friends. So I got a head start on this race.
Beautiful.
Yeah, this is a value play. As I said to him, Matt, I'm talking about, obviously.
Yeah.
No knocks on She Feels Pretty. Got beat by a good horse last time in Excellent Truth. But I just think value-wise, and I didn't have the morning line, Howard. I'm sure you didn't either, because Woodbine decided. Don't get me on a mid-show rant, Howard. Woodbine decided for their biggest card of the year to release the PPs. I don't know why they didn't just wait till Saturday morning, and then we could have all been in suspense. But anyway, I digress. 6-1. This is a Godolphin Euro. As I said to me, I kind of chuckled. Look, Appleby wasn't going to win over here at like 40% forever, right? So his slump maybe is over now that El Cordobas won, and Nation's Pride ran really well there. It looked like he might pull it off, ran third. Anyway, Charlie is 7 for 12 at Woodbine over the last 5 years, 58%. Again, this is a value play that if She Feels Pretty isn't going to win, I'll take 5 or 6 to 1 on an Appleby Godolphin. The distance won't be a problem. Not that I think it'll be a problem for She Feels Pretty. Someone will say, well, she got caught at 1 1/8 last time. I don't think this 1 1/4 is going to be any problem for her. I do think that the long Woodbine stretch may help out this 3. And, again, if She Feels Pretty is going to stub her toe a little bit, I think the 3 is the one to do it. And you must think there's at least a chance of that because you picked her second.
I totally agree. I almost picked Diamond Rain. I love everything you said. I think she is going to appreciate the long stretch. She's getting really good at the right time. She's a lightly raced 4-year-old by Shamardal out of a Danehill Dancer mare. I don't know if you watched either of those replays. I watched the Haydock and the Newcastle race, Paul. She did both of them really well. She doesn't have like a wicked turn of foot, but she closes nicely. She's just got a lot of El Cordoba's kind of feel to me, where this is a lightly raced horse. And again, I talked about it on the Weekend Warrior show. I talked about it on the tip sheet. Paul Appleby could bring over 20 different horses, and he decides to bring this one over. Obviously, it has to be a filly and mare, but this one is very live. My only hesitation, Paul, and why I didn't have her on top is when I looked at time form, and I don't believe I'm a slave to time form, but I think if people pay attention to the show and listen to our Power Pick tip sheet or look at it, it's definitely a factor. Diamond Range is a little bit slow, Paul. If you believe in time form US, she's got 113, 114. She Feels Pretty's 123, 124. I mean, and I if you believe in that, and I always think the Euro time form numbers are a little bit lower than they should be, but if based on what Craig Mulkowski sent me, etc. I mean, Diamond Rain is anywhere from 5 to 7 lengths slower than She Feels Pretty, if you believe in the time form fig. So I just thought it was too much to ask here, but I'm doing something that I almost never do. I'm using 3 and 4 equally, Paul, and I have like no one else, like no B's, no C's. If it's not one of those two, I have Kaylin Her Greatness. I thought I'd have tipped the cap to Kaylin Clark there. Maybe Kaylin Her Greatness can get aggressive and like wire the field. Maybe. I know you've got the 7 a little bit ready for Cheryl, who won nicely last time. It just feels like the 3 and 4 are tons the class of this race, Paul.
Yeah, I think Caitlin Her Greatness maybe could help the 3 a little bit. I had Caitlin Her Greatness in the King's Plate last year on Travers Day, I
Yes.
believe that was at Saratoga, 9 to
Yep.
1. Thank you. Um, I think she will be very forward. Potentially. Again, look, you make a good point about the lengths that she could be behind. Well, that's why you're going to get 5 times the price, right?
No doubt.
One's going to be even money and one's going to be 5 to 1. So the bad news is you got to make up 5, 6, 7, 8 lengths. The good news is if you do, you're getting 5 times the price. That's why they call it gambling.
Well, it starts the pick 6. I mean, what 90% of players are going to single She Feels Pretty. If you can beat her, you just eliminate a lot of people. Now, it is a 20-cent ticket. People are going to spread a little bit anyway. I personally would recommend people just go 3, 4. Really, I think I'm going to use them equally, even though I have the 4 on top. Maybe I'll play it back up. I might not. I might just go 3, 4. And there is no pick 5, by the way, after that. So you can't play the old pick 5 starting in the second leg. But anyway, fun race to kick it off. Let's go to race 8, Paul. Right. Actually, we have some comments here. I just want to see if anyone counted here. Chris Mack is here. Said that Kaylin didn't carry her form from 3 to 4. Yeah, I mean, Chris, it's I'm not saying she's going to win, for sure. Pilar's, by the way, Appleby usually gets hammered at Woodbine when he's entered here. I think 3 to 1 is more realistic. I tend to agree with you, Jim. I think 6 to 1 is a pipe dream. I agree. I think she will be much lower than that. Euros are better than our turf horses. Agreed. That doesn't mean this Euro is going to be better. I mean, She
That's
Feels
like
Pretty is pretty damn
that's
good.
like saying today is Thursday.
For sure. Let's go on to the bold. Whoops, sorry, didn't want to do that. Let's go on to leg 2. It's the Bold Venture. It's a grade 3, 150,000, 6.5 furlongs for the males on the synthetic. It's a nice field of 8. Morning favorite. The number 6 Simcoe, Ontario bred for Valisivia and Rafael Hernandez. Let's see where we're going to go in leg 2. I am going 5-1-4. You're going 6-5-4. A little bit similar, a little bit different. I'm fading Simcoe, and I'll tell you why after you tell us why she's going to win, or he's going to win, excuse me. One of us very right, one of us very wrong. Talk about Simcoe, Paul.
I just think the horse is consistent. I was not clever here. I think I have the top 2 choices, and even without the morning lines, I figured that was going to be the case. Again, if you look at this horse's numbers, at least on the buyer side, she's as steady as a rock. Now I took a long look at the 5, the horse you put on top, and almost put that horse on top, to be honest with you, Howard. So I have certainly no issue with that pick. But I think it's one of those things. Everything being equal, they all run their best race, which of course doesn't always happen. I think that this gelding is kind of right on the wire, if not first, certainly right in the picture.
Simcoe can win. Let me give you my reasons why I don't like him.
Mm-hmm.
By the buyers and a little bit of the time for him, Paul, it looked like he sort of peaked in the spring. Nothing wrong with 93s and 94s, but he's running 99s before, number 1.
Yep.
Number 2, the last race was a 4-horse field. It was a fast pace though, but it was a 4-horse field. The time before that, it was not the best pick, not the best grade 3 I've ever seen beat Old Chestnut, who's 20 to 1 in this race. Or is it this race or is it later on? I'm drawing a blank now. Yeah,
This
20
race.
to 1 in this race. So I think this is a much tougher race, Paul. And to me, this race, you have to start talking with 2 horses. First of all, Play Me a Tune was it unbelievable to start his career. It was a late start to his career, but boy, he's done absolutely nothing wrong. He didn't want the dirt at Gulfstream. Then he beat our boy Shards at Turfway. And then he ran on the turf last time against Patches O'Houlihan, the unfortunately ill-fated Patches O'Houlihan. I think he's going to set a great trip behind the speed with Johnny V, who has ridden this horse before. 4 for 8. I like Play Me a Tune here. The reason why I don't like Simcoe also is what about Victory Achieved here, Paul, who you don't have anywhere. So I do want to hear your opinion. This horse was fantastic last year as a 3-year-old late in the year. I mean, did absolutely nothing wrong. Went to Gulfstream. I rewatched that replay. Didn't get off to the greatest start. Rushed up. It was a very fast pace. And that was the first time that Victory Achieved won 2 turns, Paul. And what if the one just doesn't want 2 turns? Cassie's returning him, Paul, off a long layoff in a very aggressive spot. He's been working very well. He's going to be forward. My feeling, at least my hope, is he lets Simcoe go and then comes around, is just a better animal. He beat Simcoe, by the way, Paul. Where is it? In November of 24, and he did it easily. I watched the replay again. I mean, he beat Simcoe by 2.5 lengths, and he did it easily. Now, Simcoe's a better animal now, but I think Victory Achieved also could be a much better animal. So I don't know, man. I'm just against Simcoe. I could be wrong. We'll see. I also think our old buddy Ice Truck a lot, who you and I have chased many times, his like B race, Paul, is as good as about anything in here. I don't like that he's 7. He's got a layoff to worry about, but it's the other Cassie. This one's going to be closing. He's got a speed and a closer. You got the 4 a little bit also. I don't know if he's good enough anymore, but would I be shocked if this horse wins? Absolutely not.
No, and I think when you talked about this being a tougher race than Simcoe had last time, I think Chuck a lot is a classic example of why this is a pretty competitive race, because as you say, his best race wins this, and his, as you say, his B race puts him in the picture. And he's as you can see, 6-1 on the morning line. You're going to get a price on him. So I think Ice Chuck a lot embodies the fact that this is a pretty competitive field, which is actually an argument against taking the favorites. So that's an argument against Simcoe. Look at Cassie. If he has this horse ready to go off this long layoff, I agree with you. I don't love being down inside, but as you point out, the strategy might be just to get some position, let Simcoe go, and then try to go around. But again, another example of why it's a tough race. I think there are many directions you could go on the top line here.
Well, my thought is if Victory Achieved sends really hard, that's going to screw up Simcoe, right? And which will help the 4 and the 5 is my thought here. I just don't see Simcoe like getting loose and wiring this field. I mean, the one has to go at least before to some extent. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't know if Charlie and the rest of our group has gotten over the Appleton in March 30th, where Paco Lopez gave one of the worst rides I've ever seen on the inside. I don't know if you remember that race. We broke that race down for 20 minutes on Ice Truck a lot in the Appleton when it says 7th, but he should have beaten Smoking Tea that way that day. Anyway, fun race, really good, nice sprinters. Usually there's some Americans, there aren't. I find it interesting on this card, Paul. We'll talk about this in a minute. Not a lot of really stud Americans coming up for this card. I'm really not sure why. There's no real good Chads. I don't know. I found that a little bit interesting. I don't know if I should, nothing to read into there, but I just slightly disappointing. But anyway, field sizes are really good and the card is fantastic. Let's go on to race 9. This is the big one, Paul. In honor of you, my friend, I found some statistics and did a little research, acting as if I was covering this race, which of course I'm not, but we're covering on the show. This is the King's Plate, my friend. Used to be the Queen's Plate, of course, now the King's Plate. This is basically the Canadian Kentucky Derby, so to speak. There are girls in this race also. We'll talk about that. 534, $1 million, a mile and a quarter. It's always a big field. Saturday, of course, another big field of 13. The Moorline favorite is a very soft one, and it is a filly. The number 10, No Time for Cassie and Johnny V. Now, Paul, before I put up our picks, let me go full screen here and just give people a little historic information.
I know what you're going to say. Go ahead. You could say it. I know.
No, go ahead. Let's see. Go ahead.
You're going to say Phillies have won this race 39 times.
Well, you're on the right track. I didn't go back that far, but great minds think alike. Last 14 races, Paul, since 2011, Phillies have won 6 of the last 14. Almost, of course, a 50% number, including your girl, Caitlin, her greatness last year. Kevin Attard, by the way, trainer Kevin Attard, has won 2 of the last 3. So just keep in mind that Phillies can win this race. Paul, I know you know the answer. Not a trick question, of course. The last filly, or did a filly win the Kentucky Derby? Who's the last one, sir? We all know.
Wasn't it Wayne Lucas's horse, right?
Yes.
Genuine
boy.
Risk. What
Nope.
was her name? No.
Oh boy.
God, come on.
Oh, I thought you'd spit it
Winning
out right away,
colors.
Paul.
Winning colors. Winning colors.
Winning colors. You know the year?
I want to say 80.
Say again?
1980.
Close. 88. Well, it was in the 80s. 88. 8 Bells ran in the Derby, right? And finished like a heartbreaking second. Then
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Yeah, that was tough. Anyway, but girls can win this race. I'm not sure why. Maybe this is later in the year. I don't actually it didn't always used to be later in the year. I'm not sure why girls are so much better in this race than the Derby. It's actually a conversation for another day. Anyway, let's go ahead and put our picks up on the screen in a very difficult and fun King's Plate race 9. We are going the same horse, Paul. Look at this. I'm going 10, 7, 12. Paul's going 10, 3, 12. So we are quite similar. The number 10, let me bring up the field again. No Time. I hate to chalk out, and I think she will be favored in a race like this, Paul. I'm going to be more creative underneath. I just think there are way too many things to like about No Time for Cassie and Velasquez. But you, my friend, can talk about this filly first.
Well, it's funny, Howard. Before I ever looked at the PPs, I went into this saying, I'm looking for a filly, and I probably don't want the favorite in a field like this. So I got to settle for 1 out of 2. Although, if the morning line is close, I could live with a 3-1 or 7-2 favorite. That's, you're not talking 6-5. There are some races where you like horses where you can kill to get 3-1. Now, it's a 13 horse field. She is a filly going against the boys, but it is. I think they've run this like 165 times. I think they've run this actually more than the Derby, Howard. Is that possible?
I think
And
that could be.
I think it's like 39 out of 165. So, why? Your guess is as good as mine. But boy, the Northeast Times, they run on everything, don't they? And Cassie calling the shots, and he's not. He's been in this race plenty of times. He's not entering her just for the sake of it. I agree with you. A lot of things to like. I liked that performance last time in the Woodbine Oaks. I think the stretch out will help her. She certainly looks like she can run pretty much all day based on that last race. She a slam dunk? No. And anyone who says I don't want any part of the favorite, even at 3-1 in a race like this, I can't argue with you.
What I was blown away, well, a few things, Paul. First of all, what she did in the Woodbine Oaks, I mean, it was super impressive. I know she's going against girls. We'll show this, but Shifty and Winterberry finished 1-2 last weekend. Actually, we showed the race on the live show, and they looked very good. So she beat a next out winner and a horse that finished second, and she did this so easily. What I really like about this effort, Paul, is that the confidence of Johnny Velasquez. She's the 8 here in the Barber Silks. She did get a very good trip, but doesn't feel like she's going to get that same kind of trip again, like stalking the speed from the outside. She's right here against the Phillies. What I really liked a lot is she made this sort of wide, sustained move into a pretty hot pace, Paul. They were not walking here. And when you look at the way Johnny V rode this horse, she's right here. When you watch the replay, oh boy, the 5 right here up the inside is going to get the jump and win. Like at no time did I feel like watching the replay that this 8 was going to lose. I mean, right there, she like kicked on the afterburners after being wide the whole way. And it just doesn't feel like a mile and a quarter is going to be a problem. I mean, look at the way this horse is finishing, Paul. I mean, this is decisive and really, really good. She galloped out well. I watched that. Interestingly enough, the dam, though, doesn't scream distance. Like the pedigree doesn't scream distance, which I thought was a little bit odd. Let me go ahead and bring that up real quick because it's worth. Count to 3 was like a sprinter, Paul. Now, she had some siblings that went, Count Again was a graded stakes, a grade 1 turf horse out in California. But Ransom the Moon was a sprinter. Again, a very nice horse, but a sprinter. So, Tell Me Why was an allowance horse that didn't go longer than 1.125 miles. So my first thought, Paul, was, maybe I'm trying to beat this horse. I just see no reason why this horse can't get 10 panels, Paul. She just looks, if she gets the right trip and she runs that kind of race, I think she just might be too good for these.
I agree. I thought, like you, I thought the last race was very impressive, especially how she looked at the end. And as I mentioned earlier, that's why, I'm thinking that the extra furlong is no problem.
I agree.
The fact that Johnny went up there, it was plate trial day. So, I'm looking at it. He had five stakes mounts that day. He won the Oaks, but the Oaks was the biggest race that he had that day. And John certainly rides for Cassie, but you wouldn't say he's like Cassie's go-to guy. So I think the fact that Johnny went up there on July 20th is a Saratoga Saturday, I believe, right? The 20th, was that 20th of Saturday? It had to be, right?
Yep. It's the second weekend. Yep.
So I just think you got to think that was his primary reason to go up there. Yeah. So I agree. Again, I went into this, as I said, looking for a filly and not the favorite. I'm gonna take the filly and live with whatever I get for odds on her.
Now, there's a lot of different ways to go. We can't just talk about this race for 3 minutes and move on.
Right.
You've got Notorious Gangster in second. There was a bunch of horses, a bunch of males that are coming out of common races, like the plate trial with Sedgwick's Ghost, who we talked about extensively on the Weekend Warrior show that day, and we crushed it at 7-1. So anyone that watched Weekend Warriors, along with myself and Jackson, we were very high on that horse. Notorious Gangsters, his face Sedgwick's Ghost, and a horse like the number 4 Scorching. There's a bunch of these males coming out of similar races. The one I really want personally is Sedgwick's Ghost. Paul, this horse ran fine, Notorious Gangster. I'm not sure this horse wants distance. I don't know. He ran fine going 1.125 miles, but I don't feel like the upside is here. I could be totally wrong on this horse. I'm just I don't know. I'm not feeling it. But you've got this one second, so maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, and I know it's a long run to the turn, but I don't really like the almost far outside post for Sedbury's Ghost. That was my that was my primary reason. I just think there's a possibility of a 3 or 4 wide trip all the way around. But
okay,
I see what you're saying though, and I think honestly the interesting horse in the race is the horse you have second. I just put a question mark on my PPs, Howard. Like we don't know what this horse is. God knows, 83, first time out buyer. Could be anything. I mean, it's a big ask, second time starter in the King's Plate. I liked it better when it was the Queen's Plate. I understand why it's going to be the King. I mean, I don't see why if the race itself in 2025 wanted to identify as the Queen's Plate. I don't know why it couldn't. But anyway,
boy.
I digress.
I digress. Matt Miller's not watching, is he? Because we're getting the whole discussion.
So we're not going to be shocked if the 7 wins. Obviously, you picked the 7 second. I'm not going to be shocked if he runs 8th, and it's just too much of a step up. So, interesting. Yeah, and one of the reasons I landed on the 10, Howard, I kind of like the 3 a little. I picked a second. I was against the 13. I mentioned the post, and as I started to go through the rest of the field, I said, I'm going to land on the favorite here, aren't I? So here I am.
I know. The number 7 Runaway again. Look, here's my thought, Paul. This may be way too much, right? This is like a second-time starter in the Kentucky Derby. I mean, it's almost that equivalent. Paul, I don't know if you watched the replay of number 7 Runaway again, his debut. You can't be more impressed with a horse in that race. I mean, he didn't get off to the best start. He made a middle move, and then he completely blew by the field with a monster gallop out. This is Cititard. This is a hard spun. That 3-year-old class was special, Paul, of course. And I just don't think Stronach would put this horse in this race to be embarrassed. I think it's a big ask. I don't expect Runaway again to win, but it may be 10-1 against a bunch of horses that have run. But to me, I don't know. No one really blows me away other than the filly here. I think Runaway again is really, really interesting. I like the fact that he hasn't That's going to be a month in between starts here, Paul. So if you give him time to recover from that, he's working really well, including a 59 change and a 112 and change 6 furlong breeze. I think this horse can take money, Paul. I think Runaway Again is going to be like, I don't know, as low as 6-1. I really think this horse, if this horse is like 12-1 or 14-1, I probably won't like him. If he's 6-1, 8-1, look out. I'm very interested to see what he can do.
Yeah,
I'll show the replay. Let's show. Let me show. I'm sorry, Paul. I didn't mean to jump on you there.
Yeah,
I should have.
that's right.
I should have finished my thought. I'll just show you 2 points. Runaway Again is the 3. Okay, doesn't get off to a great start here. Not bad, but slow and sort of pinch right there. Right. I'm not going to show the whole race. He's back there on the inside, so he's getting experience there. He's making a middle move in between horses, Paul, which I like a lot. And then he tips out. This field was okay. Like, this is not a great field, but it's not a bad field. Here he is in those, of course, very famous silks there. Goes around. What I really like is this acceleration just completely blows by this field. The one had no chance at all. And does it look like this horse is getting tired? This is just a demolition. So look, I don't know. All I know is a horse can't win more impressively than that. And this is a wide open race. I'm throwing him in there.
Yeah, I think that's legit. One warning flag I would put up is that 7 horses have run back out of that race, and there's been 1 second, and then other than that, a couple of fifths, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, more buyer regressions than buyer progression. Again, it just doesn't mean this horse can't win, but especially a horse like this, you do want to kind of have a feel for the quality of that race, and it might not have been the best maiden special ever. Now, having said that, he demolished it, so maybe it doesn't matter.
Well, if you wanted someone who broke his main, William T, the 2, who I looked at really carefully also, look at this, Paul. I don't know if you noticed. 1, 2, 3 horses out of there actually came back and won, including improved their buyer a lot. So I'm throwing William T in the mix also as a possible price play at 20-1. He's actually coming out of a more live race than the 7. Let's quickly talk about the 12 and the 11, maybe a little too. Sesbury's Ghost, you've got this one third, so do I. Was impressive last time. I'd like to see it again. You don't love the post. I don't mind it too much. Barbara Minshaw is a very sharp trainer, and Munger, a former Australian, is making a name for himself here at Woodbine.
You said he's a former Australian. Does he identify as someone else now?
Well, you know what I mean. He is Australian, but he's running here. He's racing here now.
Yeah, as I said, I just don't love the post. I thought the horse ran very well last time. I see, you mentioned the 11. Stidham, I think we're both big fans of Stidham. He ships with purpose. This is strictly a turf horse, so we don't know about the synthetic. Breeding wise, it seems like obviously he's bred for turf, and that usually translates. And Hernandez is one of the top jocks up there. So look at, you mentioned about trying to get creative underneath, I think, at the beginning of this. And, this is a race where the favorite could win, and you could easily get a 50-1 exacta.
No doubt. To me, my general thought is No Time. It's either No Time or many others. And I'm just a little bit against some of the boys coming out of that Marine, other than Sedgwick Ghost, like the Scorchings and your 3. Those horses can win. I want to go some fresh faces, and I think No Time is the real deal. And I'm hoping to get, if she's 7-2, Paul, I might be putting a wager. I wouldn't take much less than that. I don't know about you, but.
Yeah, 3-1, 7-2. And you know how Johnny V, if you want to play Jockey Olympics, rode Scorching last time, and obviously rode this horse as well, No Time. But this is $1 million race, and so Johnny V ends up going back to No Time as opposed to Scorching. I thought, as you said, I think there's a lot of horses in here who ran what you'd say pretty well last time. Not knock your socks off, other than the 7, although albeit in a maiden race.
Well, also I want to say, and maybe the 7 won't run. The time form number on the 7 and the buyer actually, Paul, is good as about anyone in here except for no time. So, and you think he would improve, although this is a much bigger field, better field, yada yada. All right, let's go to the King Eddie. I always like this race, and again, usually there's some nice Americans in this race. Not this year. It's the Bet 365 King Edward. It's a Grade 2, 1 mile, 200,000 on that nice lush turf course. I won't say the W word, but it looks like things are going to be wonderful for racing on the turf this weekend. I'm going 8-3-5. Paul's going 3-1-10. So we're pretty different here in this race. Again, it's 1 mile to 1 turn. Moreline favorite is the number 3, Cruden Bay, a 7-year-old who came back like a wildebeest last time. Did it very nicely against some American horses that we know, Paul, including Kehoe Beach and Northern Dynasty, I believe, for West
Northern
Point, if I
Invader,
remember
yeah.
correctly. Northern
Northern
Invader, excuse me.
Invader, yeah.
They didn't run very well, though, to be very honest. I'm not sure how strong a race that is. I am not proud of my selection. Let me just say this right out front. I don't love Gas Me Up. I was just desperately trying to find someone other than Cruden Bay, not for really any reasons other than Cruden Bay is a 7-year-old coming off at, basically another top, and I wanted to see it again. Talk about Cruden Bay. I'll show the stretch. I have no knocks other than what I just said. He obviously can win. I'm going to use him pretty heavily, as are you.
Yeah, a little concerned second off. Obviously he was cranked up and ready to go last time, and he is 7. So you see the trainer's 2 off. Stats are not great, although the trainer's stats this year, the last 2 years, are terrific. I mean, this year, both overall and at Woodbine, where he runs exclusively. I just think this is a solid Grade 2 horse. This is a Grade 2 race. You're seeing him here. He is the
right here in the pink, about 4 from the outside, right here, Paul, coming over the top.
Yeah, yep. He was the 8, right? Yeah, he was the 8.
Right here.
Yeah, and for a 7-year-old coming off a 11-month layoff, that's pretty good, right? 7 furlongs. They stretch out to a mile. I think it's pretty clear that this is a race they had in mind. Oh, that was a Grade 2. It's a pretty confident move to bring the horse back off 11 months in a Grade 2, knowing you're going to go to a Grade 2 on King's Plate Day next time around. So, could be over bet. Again, you can accuse me of eating chalk. Just know none of us had the morning lines because we couldn't wait to start handicapping 20 minutes before the show. So I do think that I'm not thrilled with the whole 7-year-old deal, but boy, again, that race last time kind of eases your concerns a little bit.
Does this concern you at all, Paul? Time form, not a fast pace, and the 3 almost in last against what I think is a better field than last time.
I would say it does a little bit, yeah. I don't know what you think about if it's going to be that slow. If that's the case, I think the 1 is a must use, because the 1 is going to absolutely be forward. I mean, talk about quizzical rides. Go watch the 1-2 back in which Sophia Vives was riding like her hair, the horse's hair, and all the fans' hair were on fire.
Interestingly enough, I don't necessarily think the 1 is the key to the race. I think the key to the race is the 10. I know
I think the 10's going. Yep. 10's going.
The 1 doesn't have to go. The 1's going to be out there, but I think the 10's actually faster early, just my gut feel. And Moran's got the 10 hole, right? So I mean, he has to go. If they hook up, Paul, that would really help Cruden Bay. If they don't, I think I have Cruden Bay, as a strong win candidate here, but if they don't hook up, Paul, Cruden Bay is going to have to be, unbelievable to win this race, which is why I don't actually have the 1 or 10 in there. I'm afraid the 10 can't get the distance, but if the 1 or the 10 gets loose, but to me, especially the 10, because I think the 10's a better animal personally. I think they are both dangerous. Let me talk about my top pick. Again, not real proud of it. Gas Me Up, the number 8. 6-1 here, Paul, for Flavian, who came in again. He's leaving Saratoga to ride this card. The horse was on the West Coast as a 2-year-old, or excuse me, as a 3-year-old, and was staked in the Zuma Beach. Actually, that was as a 2-year-old. I apologize. And then I don't know what happened, but was off, a year and a half, and actually came back and won that race. And he's finally starting to string races together, Paul. He didn't run great on June 1st, but that was, again, a year layoff. I watched the replay. He ran just fine. Last time when he got into the clear, Paul, and again, it's an allowance race, so he's stepping up here. I'm just going to show the most important part of the race. The number 2 here gassed me up. Once he found room, he absolutely exploded. We can, let's see here. He's right here. He found room. I really like the way he's finishing. I don't think a mile's an issue. I'm slightly concerned that he wants to go shorter. My main thought here, Paul, is he's an improving horse with Pratt, right? He's been spotted for this race, and maybe more than the fact that I like this horse, I'm just not so sure about Cruden Bay in this spot. So if I think the favorite's a little bit shaky, I don't think the 10 necessarily gets the distance, even if he gets the lead. I don't know, man. I mean, where else are you gonna go here? I mean, I looked at some goofy horses. I've got the 5 Dresden Row. Paul, he seems very one-paced. I don't really know how good he is. I don't like the ride he got last time at all, but he's coming back in 2 weeks. I don't know, man. These favorites, the Cruden Bays and these Dresden Rows, I just don't trust them entirely. I like your 1. I even looked at Lucky Score, the 6, who's got some back numbers. I looked at something completely goofy like Mason's Gamble, the 7 at 20-1. This feels like something weird's going to happen in this race, Paul. I don't know if the 8's going to win, but I don't know. This is a spread for me, a big spread.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Howard. I'm looking at it more since you and I have been talking. I'm going to really, I'm going to use this one fairly heavily here.
Wow.
Look at.
Okay.
I think the horse was ridden much differently, obviously by design last time after the disastrous race the day before, the race before. I think you might get something right in the middle here. I do think from the rail, although it's 1 turn, so it's less of a need to go. But I do think, Husbands has a second time on him. Although he had ridden this horse way back in last summer. I just think without that much speed, this horse, even if let's say your 10 goes as you predict, which is reasonable, I think this horse has a very good chance to, at a minimum, follow that horse and get first run and take the lead and then try to hold on.
Yeah. The more I think about it, and you brought up a great point, I think the 1 is better sitting off a little bit. And I think they are going to draft in behind, which leads me to believe that I should upgrade the 10, Paul. In fact, I just moved the 10 on my own picks. I love these kind of conversations I have with you and Pete because it makes you think more and it reassesses your opinion, not always for bad reasons. I think the 10 might be loose here, Paul. Now that I think about it, I think the 1's going to stalk in behind. So I'd probably go 8, 3, 10 if I had to redo my picks. But anyway, fun race. Let's go on to race 11. We got 2 more races to talk about. Of course, we were watching the HHH Racing Podcast. Howard Kravitz, Paul Halloran, King's Plate Day. We're going over their mandatory pick 6. Thanks for watching. We got Saratoga Today shows Saturday and Sunday morning. We have we have Weekend Warriors live show Saturday. We were absolutely crushing it. Myself and Chris Walsh, we were giving out exactas and win bets. And if you're not watching that show, I would highly recommend you start doing that. We'll go to about 6:30 Eastern, 4 to 6:30 Eastern. Let's go on to race 11. It's the Soaring Free. This is 2-year-olds, Paul, as I get it set up here for the screen. A very interesting race. We're going to see these horses. Hey, Paul, can you remember the 2 races that are happening in September that are the Breeders' Cup preview races at Woodbine? I didn't look it up. Do you remember those 2 races, the names of those 2? Every year we look at them.
One begins with an N.
Put it in the chat if you will know the 2-year-old 1 mile Breeders' Cup preview races at Woodbine in September.
Not the near Arctic. The
in the Arctic? No, that's the 6 furlong race. It's not that. I don't know. Anyway, I I think some of these horses, Paul, are going to come out of that race. Let's see if we get some comments here. I put a. Oh, it is the Arctic. Someone said it's the Arctic.
Near Arctic. Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Are we sure about that? Okay, I thought that was
Natalma is one
the
of them.
Natalma. It's not the NASA. The NASA might be the girls' version, and the
Yeah, the
boys'
Natalma
version.
was the one I was thinking of. And you
The
asked
other
for
way
two, I
around?
gave you one. I can't do
Okay.
much more than that, Uncle. You're very demanding, Uncle.
Sorry. All right. Well, let's talk about this race.
Oof.
2-year-olds. Jupiter is already gelded. 9 2-year-olds. My line favorite is the number 4, Kassan, for Cassie and husbands. He's also got Jupiter, the 5, and he's got Rude Procedure, the 8 at 10 to 1. Let's see here where we are going. Where are my picks? Where are there we go. Look at this, Paul.
Ooh, Riley.
Wow. Whoa. We are both going with Mr. Mott, the younger Mott, Riley Mott, and Flava Flav or Flavian Pratt on a 12 to 1 shot, Paul. Good for you, my friend. Let's hope we are both
that
correct.
horse is 12 to 1?
Right now.
Ooh. Wow.
Won't be at post time. We're looking at 6 to 1 post time. Argos, who won at Ellis Park. Talk about him, Paul.
Well, one thing I think about this race, Howard, and you might say, well, it's hard to predict with 2-year-olds. I really think this race is going to be fast, and I base that on the horses that have run have showed speed, and you got to think some number of the first timers always are forward. I just thought the 9 who closed last time, gets a closing trip. If the 9's right there, as it is on time form, Howard, I know it's 2-year-olds, but I would be very, very happy with that. As you point out, Pratt takes the mount. Riley Mott coming off his first grade 1 win a few weeks ago, the Saratoga Derby, which was great to see for Riley. We have confirmed that Tina Mott roots for her son over her husband when they are in the same race together. That's the type of reporting I'm out there doing for you people. I've heard quoted as saying that. One next out winner out of that race last time, Howard, if for whatever it means. I think the fact that this horse won first time out is a good sign, because I don't think Riley is necessarily like his dad, going to have him cranked to the gills. So I think gets a clear trip from out there, and I believe is going to have the opportunity to close into what I think is going to be a pretty contested pace.
We're not going to show the replay because it's Alice, although that might change pretty soon, Paul. I think you may know why I say that, but we'll see. We might be showing some more races from Twin Spires in the near future. I thought he was really professional, and what people aren't going to see, it might be in the short comments. Actually, in looking at the short, let's see. It doesn't even say it. This is what I'm talking about, Paul. It says came out upper long drive. If you have Twin Spires or you have the ability to watch the replay, he took a pretty hard bump. There was a pretty significant bump at the top of the stretch, Paul, and Argos didn't seem to mind it at all. Everything you said, I like. But to me, again, Flavian doesn't have to ride this horse. I know Flavian's going to lower the price, Paul, but that is a huge thing for me, that Flavian's going to ride Argos. I think he's very interesting here. 2 Out Hero, the number 1, ran about as well as a horse possibly could. Completely dominated, but that was blue-coated fractions, Paul. This ain't going to be blue-coated fractions. He's going to get pressure from the Cassies on the outside. He could be anything, but I just have a feeling that they're going to be running, like you said, pretty hard early. Let's talk about Longy for just 1 minute here. The number 3 at 8 to 1 with a whopping 36 buyer. But Paul, there is signal in the noise. I'll let you talk about this Grand Motion horse.
Yeah, well, again, this horse was bet. I'm not going to get too caught up in the buyer. I think he'll probably advance off the 36 out. I'm not going to get too. Yeah, I get it. But again, isn't this a pretty confident, ship? Interestingly, Graham planned to run him on turf last time.
Yep.
I would bet that was one of those, you know what, we want to get him started, so let's just give him the race. And lo and behold, he ends up getting bet and ends up winning. I'm sure he got bet a lot at Colonial based on the fact that Graham ships there very well.
Yeah.
By Caravaggio, there's two Caravaggios right next to each other. Johnny V hops on for Graham. That worked out well with Animal Kingdom in the Kentucky Derby once upon a time. This horse is a solid B for me. I don't love the horse, but I think the horse has a decent shot at a decent price.
Paul, there's so much more to this horse than it looks on paper. Go watch that replay. Again, I know some of you at home listening, watching, like, Howard, I've got a life. I can't watch the 50 replays. Guess what? I've got a life too. Actually, I just started school. My students came today. I just met my students for the first time, so I don't have as much time as I did over the summer. Paul, this horse has got a very high knee action. He clearly wants turf. He broke slow, and then he was behind a wall of three horses, Paul, like begging out for room. And he was goofy as all get out. He was on the wrong lead. This horse had no idea what he was doing first time and still won the race by 4. I know they weren't killers. The other thing, Paul, is look at the last work. I know it's only 4. It's a bullet because it's Fairhill. But to me, the time, he was working like 102s, and all of a sudden now after the race, he's working 101 on their synthetic. Like this horse, you're exactly right. Forget the buyer. This horse is live, number 3 Longy, especially if they heat it up, Paul. So I agree with you. Very interesting race. Let's go to the last race, which I think is very tough of the pick 6. It's race 12. There's our picks on the bottom of the screen, which are not scrolling. Hold on one second. They are going to be scrolling right now. The last race of the pick 6, there's our picks. It is optional claiming 40,000 going 7 furlongs on the sin. How difficult is it? I've got 3 horses. Paul's got 3. We only have 1 horse that's the same. I'm going 4, 1, 10. Paul's going 2, 10, 3. I don't like the morning favorites here at all. You'll probably convince me to use the 2 and the 3, but I know they've got big connections and whatever, but I don't love the 2 or the 3. Tell me why the 2 is going to win Human Desire for Marty Drexler and Savachi. Very good combination.
It is a good combination. I agree with you, though, about the race, Howard. This is one of those situations, if by the grace of God, you're 5 for 5, you probably want to be at least 5 deep to go here. I thought it was a really tough race. It's 7 furlongs. It's, non-2 lifetime. I love the cutbacks at 7 furlongs on pretty much all circumstances. This is the type of race I really like a horse cutting back off of, forward and then just couldn't finish the deal. That was 8.5 furlongs, so it's a furlong and a half less. The jock stays. Drexler wins at a high percentage. A very, very tepid choice for me.
When I say I don't like the 2 and 3, I'm using them defensively. I just don't like them as my key horses. I don't like horses that are in for 40, Paul. They don't have to be in for 40, and they're 40,000. It's not 10,000, but I prefer horses that are not in for a tag. The 2's in for a tag. I don't know. He's okay. War of Destiny is speed, but do we trust this horse going 7, Paul? And he's in for 40. Like, Cash just giving up on these horses. I don't know. Watch the replay of the number 4, Paul, when you have a chance. I'm not going to show it now for time purposes. Watch the replay of the number 4. Daddy Has Diamonds at 6-1. I know it's a low profile connections. David Moran is riding back. This horse got into 5 lengths of trouble. It was completely ridiculous. He checked like 4 times. He's cutting back. He's putting blinkers on. I know the works aren't impressive, but you just have to watch the replay to believe me about Daddy Has Diamonds in a race that's completely wide open. I looked at the 1 also, Lonnie's Gamble, who, again, I love turnbacks, as you well know. Josie Carroll. I don't love the 1 for 9, but, I think we're going to get a price there. My main thought is I just don't like the 2. I don't like the 3, and I definitely don't like the 6. Take Charge Susie, who's 1 for 20. With a 6% jock, Paul, and this horse is 4-1.
Yeah,
no bueno.
Yeah,
I'd rather take a shot on like the 7 who has numbers that fit, Awesome Rainbow, or even like number 10, Tutte Contente, for the Italians who, I know is in condition claimers, but seems to be getting better and has Vives. I mean, this last leg, Paul, is just totally wide open, and I have no desire to take the lower morning line favorites on top. I'll use them defensively. Like I said, I love to go 8 deep in this race.
Well, how about the 4, Howard, owned by Jimmy Goodman, not our Jim Goodman, but Jimmy
Yeah.
Goodman.
How about that? And the estate of Paul. Wow. Hold on. Did you see this? Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Look at this, Paul. Can you read that? You can't read what it says.
I could just see the estate of Paul. I didn't,
It's the estate of Paul. Do you own this horse, Paul? What's going on?
People will be very disappointed in the estate of Paul, Howard. Too many losing Saratoga tickets.
I didn't even know you had an estate. Paul, we got about less than 10 minutes. We want to get off screen for people to take a break and watch our wonderful Pacific Horse Players show coming up live here Thursday night in about 28 minutes. But it's time for something, Paul, and this is gonna be a positive one, I believe. But let's just get it up right here because we haven't shown this in a while. It is time for Paul's Rant of the Week. Like I said, Paul, maybe you have something negative to say, but I know we have something positive rant to talk about, something very exciting that we're going to tease coming up in a few weeks.
Nope, I got to start off with a very quick positive. I want to wish a happy 85th birthday yesterday to a guy named Jim Navolio. Now, people will not know Jim Navolio, but if you go to Keeneland, Jim is one of the hundreds of green jackets, the most accommodating people on earth, as you know, and he works right down by the entrance to the paddock with Kevin O'Keefe, a great Marylander. And I'm glad Kevin gave me a heads up. I've come to know Jim. Jim was got to know the Dormans very well when they went there for the Breeders' Cup, and Kevin gave me the heads up to give Jim a call yesterday. 85th birthday, still kicking and screaming and going strong, and we will see him, Howard. I will introduce you to Jim in October. So happy birthday, 85th, Jim Navolio. No, we are going
to do our best bets. Do you want to do the best bets after your announcement?
Yeah, that's whatever. I won't be long. That's fine.
Go ahead. My fault.
We are going to do a show, Howard. I believe it'll be one of the first 2 Thursdays in September. We haven't narrowed it down yet. You mentioned going to Keeneland in the special event on October 11th. The Cody's Wish Monument is going to be unveiled. It's been done by Jocelyn Russell. And just Google Jocelyn Russell Secretariat statue. Her Secretariat statue was on tour in 2023. I'm sure you saw it, Howard, at Saratoga. It was at Saratoga when we were there in 23. I saw it all over the place. I saw it at the Belmont. I saw it at the Derby. I saw it at the Breeders' Cup. Actually, you would have seen it at the Breeders' Cup as well, Howard, at Santa Anita that year. Anyway, she has done a life-size statue of Cody's Wish. It'll be unveiled at the Kentucky Horse Park on October 11th. Where our viewers come into play when we do the show, we are going to have Kelly Dorman on, and hopefully Jocelyn Russell, either Jocelyn or Robin Hutton, who wrote the book Sergeant Reckless. You've seen Sergeant Reckless on the FanDuel broadcaster on Ventures. There you go. Now, Howard, see that stone to the right of the horse as you're looking?
Yes.
That is the story in 250 words that I was commissioned to write. They said, Can you do 250 words? I said, sure, I'll take a 60,000 word book and put it into 250 words, no problem. But no, I was honored to ask to do that. So that is my version of the summary of the story. You'll note the horse is at a pose where you could wheel a child up and take a photo. That was done by design. We will be, I don't know if I'd call it a telethon, Howard, but we are going to give our viewers a chance. The HHH podcast is supporting these fundraising efforts for the statue, and we're going to give our viewers a chance to join in, and maybe we'll come up with a couple of prizes for folks who do end up contributing, but whatever. The important thing is to just build awareness. It's happening October 11th. It's open to the public. It's at the Thoroughbred Horse Park, Kentucky Horse Park, in Lexington, right on the outskirts of Lexington, 9 o'clock in the morning. Those of us who will be playing in the Keeneland contest that day, Howard, have plenty of time to make our way back to the track, Howard. So it's going to be a great day. And, Robin Hutton through Kelly Dorman asked if our podcasts were interested in supporting it. And needless to say, obviously, I think you responded in about 38 seconds that we want to do something. So we already have a pledge from Matt Miller. No one will be surprised to learn that. Very generous pledge from Matt. And we're just going to we're going to come up with a way to give people a chance to hop in, and ideally we'll have one, hopefully somewhat significant donation on behalf of the podcast. So
yes, my personal goal is if we can raise $5,000, that'd be amazing, because that would put the HHH Racing podcast name on their plaque and be a little more recognized. So I know that the podcast / me, I will be making a nice donation as well, Paul, and hopefully we'll have the nice donations. And I don't know about you, Paul, but like Notre Dame's got that play like a champion sign, and Clemson University's got the rock you'd sort of like touch. If we rub Cody's wish, like, are we going to have good luck at that contest, or
we're gonna find out.
There's got to be something going on there, right?
We're gonna find out, Howard. I am gonna go. How's this one? I'm gonna go rub the real Cody's wish on Friday, and then the statue on Saturday.
Wow,
covering all bases.
That is pretty cool. Let's very quickly give there'll be information through emails on our website, everyone, about the Cody's Wish fundraiser for the statue at the Kentucky Horse Park. That'll be, again, the fundraiser is going to happen in early to mid-September on the show. Very quickly, I forgot to do this. Paul's best bet, race 7, number 3 to win. That is the Euro for Appleby. And then race 9, that is the King's Plate. You're going to play a double, the filly, the 10, into the 1 and 3, correct?
It's Cruden Bay and Piper's Factor, and I'm kind of glad after the conversation tonight. I like that.
There we go. My best bet, there is a $5 pick 3. I should have mentioned it, Paul. There's a special $5 pick 3 in races 7, 9, and 10. Again, races 7, 9, and 10 at Woodbine on Saturday. There's a special $5 pick 3. Host fail. I should have mentioned it earlier in the show. I'm going to play that $5 pick 3. I'm going to play 3-4. That's She Feels Pretty and the Appleby horse. With 7, 10 in race 9. That's the King's Plate. That's that first-time starter who won off the screen, and the 10, the filly. And then I'll go 3, 5, 8, 10. I might use the 1 also in a very wide open mile King Eddie. My ticket's $80 for $5. If you want to go cheaper, you can just single the 10, the filly that both and I, Paul, like, for $40. There you go, Paul. Great show tonight, my friend. Anything else you want to add for the viewers and listeners on a very exciting King's Plate day? Do you have an Alabama pick? Is Nitrogen going to win on fast dirt against Lacara and Good Cheer and others? I say no bueno. What do you say?
She is. Well, I feel better now. I was going to say she's going to beat me, but it sounds like she's going to beat you too. Since the minute they announced this horse was running in this race, my plan is to bet against her. Hey, look, if she could be a superstar, we need superstars. I'll be applauding from home. I want that horse is going to take money off that, whatever it was. The one dirt race. My issue is it wasn't a dirt race, right? It was a off the turf slop race with, I think, 3 horses, if I'm not mistaken. She won by 20. To the surprise of nobody, I'll be going with Good Cheer to rebound off the.
Yeah, I have to look at the race. I have to look at the race carefully, but I am not using Nitrogen probably. I don't know. I applaud them for going there, though. I will say that. Anyway, my friend, excellent job as always. Again, Saratoga Today shows Saturday and Sunday morning. Weekend Warriors Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully, we're going to crush some live bets for my good friend Paul Halloran. This is your host, Howard Kravitz. Episode 423 of Picks and Ponies. Pacific Horse Players coming up in about 20 minutes with a special host and a really good card Saturday at Del Mar. In the meantime, crush your bets on King's Plate Day at Woodbine, Canada's biggest day this Saturday. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
minutes. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.